Dude, like, look at these sets, bro.
I'm gonna go.
Look at these sets. Like, where is this? I feel like the other shows didn't have this. Like, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be going through some Andor Season 2 behind the scenes. I just finished Andor last night. And before we get started, let's get into my thoughts real quick on the show. I thought the show was pretty good. Oh, and actually, I didn't really like how they handled Luthen's end. I didn't want something so grandiose, but at the same time, I want to find out more about him. And I feel like they built him up to be this really deep, mysterious character. But in the end, he kind of became a shallow guy who just really disliked systems of control over people. And, you know, he had an affection for Kreia. So I think there's a lot more to be had in that story. Another scene in particular that I wanted a little more fleshed out was probably when Dedra confronted Luthen in the antique shop. I wanted it to be more of like a build-up. I think it's Inglourious Bastards. It's a movie that has a very long intro sequence, and you're just kind of teetering on the edge of like, oh my god, are they going to find out the people are hiding beneath the floorboards? Is he playing with them? And it kind of starts out like that, but I would have liked to seen a little bit more. And otherwise, I thought really like, I think season 2 knocked out of the park. I think on Twitter I gave it 8 out of 10. You know, in some respects it made me eat my words, but at the same time, like, I just don't know if the marketing was good enough, and I don't think season 1 was strong enough that season 2 would benefit from it, right? Because season 2's pacing is fantastic. They nail the pacing, they nail the action. It has like a Star Wars feel to it when it needs to have a Star Wars feel to it, whereas Andor just kind of felt like, you know, a show about the inception of rebellion and some different lore. But otherwise, I thought, you know, Andor Season 2 is pretty fantastic. 8 out of 10, maybe even higher. I'm going to rewatch it again. I'm going to actually rewatch Andor Season 1 and Season 2 along with Rogue One. Probably in like some sort of marathon style. So I thought it was pretty good. And, you know, I want to get into these behind the scenes because one of the things I appreciate about the show that I think other shows need to that need to experience, in particular the Obi-Wan show, The Acolyte, and parts of Ahsoka, and season 3 of The Mandalorian, the shows just don't look like cinematic. These episodes all felt like cinematic movie style. The quality, the sets, the costumes, nothing felt like it was like some rubber alien. Even the aliens looked good. It's not like, you know, the aliens in the Book of Boba Fett look horrible. You know, the Transdoshans look terrible. You know, it looked like something out of like a 1970s, you know, like old sci-fi movie where they're just getting rubber costumes and making molds from hand, like that weren't so refined. So I think Andor just really nailed a little bit of everything that all the other shows need to learn from. In some regards, you know, it fell short in some places, but I thought Andor was pretty good. The only thing I rate higher than Andor right now is probably like maybe Clone Wars or Mandalorian. That's because I'm partial toward all that lore expansion. But, you know, with that being said, those are my thoughts on the show. I thought 8 out of 10 for sure. So let's get into the behind the scenes. And this is going to cover all the episodes. And we're going to start off with episodes 1 through 3.
The Empire cannot win. You'll never feel right unless you're doing what you can to stop them.
The depth of conversation that people are having about season 1 is unlike anything that I ever worked on.
There we go.
Now I realize, oh my God, they're making connect. Like, we talk about that amongst ourselves, how cool it is. The audience momentum came at a very critical time while we were building the second half of the show.
Here we know the ending, therefore it's about how eloquent.
And it's really cool because I started watching Rogue One again last night, and you can see the bits and pieces of the story actually like that are planted in Rogue One. They really expand on a lot of it in the TV show.
When you can be on the getting there. And I think Tony found a great tool. These time jumps.
The first season took place over 1 year. We're now going to have another.
The pacing, right? Season 1 needed that pacing big time.
Other 12 episodes that are going to take us over the next 4 years. So each block of 3 episodes will move us 1 year closer to Rogue One.
The structure of this season, each 3 episodes jumping a year, elevates it.
Oh, that is so sick.
It's so much more intense. You see so much growth and so much destruction.
Oh, and by the way, I think one of my favorite character arcs in the entire show is probably Cyril's. Cyril's is very, very strong. And, I kind of felt bad for him in the end because I think it's weird. In wanting to do right, he kind of fell into a seed of doing bad. I actually wrote a tweet, and it was in reply to someone saying that Dedra is super evil. So I wrote, if you're motivated to bring peace and justice, are you evil? Dedra did bad, including killing innocents, but so did Luthen and Cassian. A lot of Andor, while many have a hard-on for the fascism narrative, shows that good and bad are often subjective. Dedra is a victim of losing. So I kind of feel like that's also the same thing for Cyril. And but I think he was more so like, an apprentice and a learner of discipline and order. And discipline and order doesn't necessarily mean fascism or evil. Sometimes that means doing the right thing. The Jedi also follow those tenets. And I think he was so hell-bent on bringing justice to those two officers who died in Morlana, whether or not their characters were good or bad, that, he just became enamored with the idea of order and justice and peace, probably in the names of those cops, right? Or those officers, whatever, security, whatever you want to call them. And it led him down this path. And I think when he realized that he was truly in the veil of evil, he did the right thing. He left and then he died for it, right?
So the evolution of these characters is pretty intense.
With complicated questions
Damn right.
and not easy answers.
You really feel the march of a rebellion.
Where we start season 2. Suddenly you find Cassian on a mission.
He said at the end,
Yo,
of
and the chick
season
in that
one, either
was
kill me or
thick.
make me part of it. And when we find him a year later,
Okay.
he's
so
in.
bad.
He's working for Luthen's team.
So I'm gonna go back.
Dude, like, look at these sets, bro.
Clearly,
So I'm gonna go.
Look at these sets. Like, where is this? I feel like the other shows didn't have this. Like, I mean, I give credit to Kathleen Kennedy. Finally, like, they did something very good. But like, where was this for the other shows? And maybe they know that Tony Gilroy is like a super professional film guy, and they're like, all right, him we can definitely splurge on. Maybe not the guys who did, Mando. And I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of a head scratcher.
Oh,
But still, I mean, this is so freaking cool. That is so freaking cool.
back.
he's clearly developing skills.
Let's go again.
And all the experience of season 1 has him charged.
You've become more than your fear. Let that protect you.
You realize he's changed. He has become that leader that can talk to someone else and say, like, hey, you're doing the right thing.
So who's really in charge here?
What you are talking about is a mutiny.
He's getting away! The fighter! He's getting away! He's getting away!
He's there witnessing how far they are from being organized, how far they
Yeah,
are from being
facts.
capable of doing anything as a team, And it helps you understand where the rebellion is. And we've never seen Yavin this way. We've never learned how Yavin came to be what it was.
I wasn't too crazy about that episode. I get it. It's on Yavin. It's the seeds of rebellion, but they made them look so freaking like primitive that I was kind of like, I mean, you couldn't even tell what they were or what they were doing.
You spent 2 episodes there, and you don't realize until he escapes, you realize, my God, this is undeveloped Yavin. So we're going to tell the whole story of Yavin up through Rogue One.
So cool.
At the beginning of the season, Bix and Brasso and Wellman, they're refugees crossing borders and escaping a tense political environment in order for freedom.
All right, let's try it.
But they're still not stable. They're still moving around. They're still fugitives.
We won't be away long.
It's too little long already.
Talia has your charger.
How will Cassian know?
I feel like there's heavy inspiration for the droid from Interstellar. For Tars from Interstellar. Kind of, it's almost like the same voice.
Where to go?
Sets are
Bix
incredible.
does have her own rebellion. She's incredibly traumatized from season 1. It's a year later and she's still having nightmares. She's gone through a lot. But Bix never has a doubt that Cassian will show up when he needs to. And we have a beautiful reunion in episode 3, which is devastating.
That's so cool. Seriously cool.
They've lost a friend.
Looks like a fun ride, even.
The relation with Brasso is crucial for Cassian and Bix. Losing Brasso comes with a responsibility. He's not just fighting for Marva, he's fighting for Brasso. Till the end.
I don't want to be on her side. So when you're bullying, as you said, I can sort of glide out over on that side.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice.
Surely there's something that desperately requires your attention somewhere else.
That's nice. Yeah.
In the first episode, we find Mon at the wedding of her daughter to Skolden's son, with all its complications. You are a bit of a bully.
If that's all right.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
I
If it's
think,
okay.
Yeah.
you can even, because we're coming
I think
here,
that's
you
good.
can-
All right.
For Mon Mothma, the woman, and
She did such a great job. She's so she's just fantastic, Mon Mothma. And you know, I honestly think in this show, I think all the actors did a pretty tremendous job. None of their lines were like forced or cheesy as we've come to see in, you know, some other projects. So, you know, I think in comparison to, I'm not gonna say what because people are gonna get super triggered, but all these actors were A+. I'd love to see them do another show like this. Maybe not the same styling, but in terms of the actor focus with the professionalism, their acting acumen, their ability, along with the investment they put in these sets and these camera shots, and guys like Tony Gilroy who have an acumen for film, I'd love to see them do something else like this. You know, it would be cool if they had someone like this work with Dave. You know, Dave is still pretty new to live action, so it would be cool if, you know, you combine those two together. I think maybe you make some of the best Star Wars possible.
Mon Mothma, the rebel.
Now, surely there's something that desperately requires your presence elsewhere.
Very well. But I will get it out of him. In season 1, you definitely felt the fractures within her domestic life. You take that family and those fractures and you put it in a wedding scenario and it just shines a light on it all. We have a long day, Perrin. You can see
Such
the
an odd
years of
coupling
this arranged
people.
marriage.
Tay had a bit too much first night punch.
And the years of compromise live within these two characters.
Luthen's working, he's getting information.
You can tell they work together as like I wouldn't say like a team of amicable people, but they work together like pieces of a machine. You do this, I do that. You lift, I lower, so on and so forth.
Concerned with the revolution, and I don't do family business.
To step in and to work within those sets. It is phenomenal.
Working on the set, the scale of things affect you, and you feel it.
The idea of the Chandlerton estate was it was like the kind of old Scottish castle that's been in the family for many generations. It's their country retreat.
21 Baker, take 3.
It should have some sense of history to it. You're looking at like Japanese castles. It also had quite a Scandinavian,
sets
very like Japanese.
Are seriously crazy, man. This is what I want to see them do with future projects. Stop making 5 or 6 projects at once. Stop doing 2 or 3 live actions at once. Focus on one thing. Like, pull that money into one project. There's no need to have a $100 million Obi-Wan show and a $200 million Mandalorian show and a, you know, excuse my language, a damn $500 million acolyte trash garbage show. There's no need for that. Focus on one thing, quality over quantity. I think Andor is an example of quality over quantity. Even though I spent a whole lot of money, like this show had a lot of dedication and focus from just about everyone who was invested in it, from the brass down to the little guy. It's just a shame. It's just weird because Andor is such a tiny, like, no-name character,
These castles, it also had quite a Scandinavian, very stripped back, very graphic look to it.
The irony is, it's the rebellion that's hurt me most. Rebel activity soured my investments. You can see how I might feel undervalued.
The ballroom was just a good excuse to do a good floor.
And action!
Let's celebrate.
I always felt that the Chandrillans were proud about their place in the universe, so the idea was that that floor is like a star map of their position within the galaxy.
Sagrona.
Very cool.
What is a wedding? It's opulence, and it's lighting, and it's drinks, and it's flowers. I knew that if Mon was doing flowers for her daughter's wedding, it would be like the Ikebana Star Wars style flowers we'd done in the embassy in season 1.
I got busy thinking about what type of clothes the Chandrillans wear. This culture is hinted at in season 1 by Mon Mothma's world, her world of the embassy. Lots of pale, subtle colors, lots of beautiful textures, shimmery, fragile fabrics.
You need to be protected.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
How nice for you.
Because it's Tony's writing, it's not just dancing. There is something deep and dark within the dance for her. And that was a joy to play that day.
We should do it from the very beginning all the way to the Niamos and then cut.
I mean, this wedding is a prison, and she's gonna try to escape on the dance floor as we close out.
Yeah, she was lit, bro. She was trashed when she did this.
Now that we've gone through it, now that we've filmed it, I know her a little bit differently now.
We have these year-long gaps, so the last time we see her will be on this dance floor. We'll pick up a year later, and where is she then?
And man, I just can't thank you enough. Every single one of you.
Every time we jump a year for the next block in this season, he starts somewhere else, And there's still a lot that needs to happen to become the Cassian Andor we meet in Rogue One.
A galaxy of worlds! A galaxy assembled! An empire!
Yeah, very cool, very cool. All right, let's keep going. The next one is episodes 5 or 4 or 6, I think. Yeah, all right. Oops.
So we jump a year for the next block in this season. This new structure challenges audiences. With all the events you're seeing, you start to go like, wow. So,
what's kind of interesting? In the episodes 1 to 3, I believe that's the one where you see Bix's assault scene, and they didn't really touch upon too much on that in the behind the scenes, which is interesting. They just kind of allude to her having had a tough time in season 1 and something's happening in season 2. So I think it's interesting that they're willing to put such a heavy scene in there and then not really expand on it. I think you got to go for broke at that point. I mean, just you already did it. You got to talk about it now, I thought for me, that scene would have been a much more tasteful if it was a dream sequence where the Imperial comes up behind her and her bed sheets get pulled off the bed and she wakes up, You know, I think any adult would look at that and be like, okay, something happened to her. We all know what happened to her. Just in a little bit more of a tasteful way. Kind of like what they do with Anakin and the younglings, right? He turns on the lightsaber and then it cuts. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into the season 2, the classified.
Audiences, with all the events you're seeing, you start to go like, wow, so this must have happened.
Oh, I love that Cassian's Gorman
What are you
outfit.
gonna tell him?
So cool.
About what happened on the mission?
The Balenciaga,
soldier.
Star Wars Balenciaga.
We like to make it complicated. It has different demands in the storytelling, jumping after 3 episodes a year on to pick up the story somewhere else. But of course, it also means more worlds, more costumes, more things to create.
Look at us. Look at this place. We're in a war.
We have a very important set in this show, which is a safe house in Coruscant. It's very depressing, but they're there, and they're trying to make the best of it.
In the first season, we tried a lot to make sure Cassian seemed like a normal and regular guy, you know? But we were missing one thing, which is love. And it was really important to explore how, as a couple, they managed to keep moving in this spy world, you know?
Bix does have her own rebellion. By the time that we see her in episode 4, Bix is destroyed. She's killed people. She wants to be strong and she wants to be tough. It kind of does the opposite. It makes her rebellion be internal and self-destructive. She's broken, she feels defeated.
I came to see about you.
Here I am.
I had a feeling that she would hide her weakness more, so I would play harder. And she was so fragile that I had to soften my hardness, have some empathy with her.
I'm not as strong as you.
That's just tonight talking. If he doesn't have empathy, then he has got nothing to do in the revolution. Because the reason for revolution is empathy. Yeah.
Chances are, if you've heard that sound before, you've been to the Great Valleys of Gorman. But it's a sure thing, no matter where you are in the galaxy, you've had your eye on something made of Gorman twill. Elegance and durability, available in all weights and weaves.
What is Gorman?
Wasn't really too crazy about the French thing they did. I mean, it's cool they made their own language out of it, but I get it. I mean, I guess the French have connections to fashion, but don't the Italians do too? So I don't know. It seemed a little too Earth-like, which I think the Andor series falls a little prey to at certain points.
There's nothing about Gorman. There was a mini massacre 13 years earlier where Tarkin had killed like a couple hundred people in the square with his ship. But that's all that they had. And I want to really explore what that kind of authoritarian power does. And I want to see a real takedown of someplace significant. And so we made Gorman into this very significant place.
Gorman is of great interest.
They do such a nice job with those vistas. I love that.
Very significant place.
Gorman is of great interest to the Empire.
Gorman is a canon planet. It exists, but has never been seen before. It kind of goes free reign from a design point of view. In the end, we settled on more of a sort of northern Italian vibe. I always joke that Gorman's like Turin, so there's a lot of sitting around drinking Bisserins and coffee. There are, I think, 9 or 8 cities that make up the planet, and we focus on Palmo.
All that gorgeous material gathered for display and sale in the capital city, Palmo.
We decided that we should focus our efforts on building
Cyril, let's
Plaza
go.
on the backlot here at Pinewood. There was also another opportunity to tie various Gorman sets together into one big backlot set again. Various little shops off of it and window displays, the patisserie, because it takes up a huge footprint on the backlot. The more interior sets we put off the plaza, the more it justified the build itself.
I've never been on a project this big, so I can't quite describe when you arrive on set and you see the detail.
Very in scale.
Just everything is real, even the sort of fancy cakes that they made that Cassian was eating were so beautiful and refined.
Every time you see a plate or every time you see a spoon or you see...
Like, this is like movie level Star Wars production. If you, we'll do it together on the channel. If you watch the behind the scenes of like The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, for all their flaws they had with the writing, which is pretty terrible at some junctures, the sets and the stuff they did are fantastic. The cinematics fantastic. And they use the same quality here, which is surprising because this is a TV show. Granted, this TV show costs probably the same as 2 of those films put together. But again, I'd like to see that. That should be blank. That should be a standard. That should be a standard for Star Wars.
Food.
And I love it. I freaking love it. Like in Force Awakens, when Rey's eating her bread or whatever it is in the Fallen AT-AT, that's real. Like, that's a real thing. I mean, that's so cool.
On the table, it's a bunch of people that are having long conversations with each other about how to do all this stuff. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
The main plaza, so much can happen there in the open, but in the intimate of the cafe and the hotel and the office here and the little alley on the right. Sets that give you that diversity of opportunities. Yeah, to go intimate and go big and go back to intimate.
Checking in?
Varian Sky. We're telling the story of a spy, right? Cassian is a beautiful tool for a costume designer.
Your
Hell
name
yeah.
is Varian Sky. You moved to the fashion district where you found work as an assistant designer.
Cassian's first disguise is a buyer.
There we go. Dude, that freaking costume is so sick. Yo, no joke. I would actually look, like, if there's a Star Wars costume I'd want to get, probably a Stormtrooper, like Stormtrooper armor set. And this would have to be on the list because this is so cool. I mean, you could probably wear this outside to a fashion show now, but this is so... Okay, this is something I imagine someone wearing to the Canto Bight Casino. It's human, but it just has, I don't know, something about it feels a little Star Wars-y, and this is a fantastic... I love this. This is so cool. And I think the glass is tied all together.
We thought of great
Balenciaga Andor
characters from the design fashion world, and we added some of those details and to give him a very debonair, very restrained palette. It's all navies and blacks and flashes of purple lining, but very
so
strong,
sick.
bold colors that we don't really see him in when he's just hanging out being Cassian Andor.
You remember in Rogue One when Cassian wears this Imperial suit?
Yeah, I guess he is a good spy.
Where did he find out he was capable of putting a character on? It's because of Luthen.
I want you to try something different.
It's Luthen. And here with Varian Sky, he shows that he's ready. He's ready to be that spy. It's not stealing things that's difficult. It's getting away. And it was fun, you know, to work with Michael designing a character that was just like
I love it,
you
man.
couldn't see coming, you know?
Get myself and the bag.
Yeah.
So I have to do this.
You have to adjust.
I could do this.
We'll try one last one.
I mean, that outfit was beautiful to wear.
It really is.
It also has a cape, you know, and capes are so much fun to play with.
Why buy Gorman? What's the obsession with Gorman? What are they after?
And what is Gorman? When I work with Luke in the beginning on it, it's not just building the physical part of it, it's building a culture. We want to make a planet where there's a population that really is insular and has a very rich tradition. So what are we going to do about that? And how are we going to do this language?
There's a meeting. You should come. You have the address.
I think people will be able to find
I
all
wanna
kinds
see a little
of
bit more
historical
Cyril stuff.
comps
Come on,
in
let's go.
season 2. The French Resistance is the one that's the easiest for us to grasp because it's one that we're completely sympathetic with to begin with. And so we decided, why don't we get all French actors?
Gore,
Didn't
the
care about
language we
it.
speak, is an invented language. Invented language.
I'm not going to say it. I'll just pop up on your screen real quick, like, boom. Let me know if you heard it too.
They based it on an existing language, which is French, the French phonetics. And then they ended up creating word by word a whole vocabulary. You actually really now have a language that could stand its comparison with Esperanto, for example. We have fun now also between us. Every once in a while, we talk gore between each other.
S'il me faut, j'aurai au billet d'Anne Palmo, un fils immature.
The Gormans, they have no idea why they are being singled out. Why does the Empire seem so fixated on messing with them? So they have their little nascent Gorman front. You know, it's shopkeepers and twill brokers trying to figure out how to fight back. And they don't know that the Gorman front has been built by the ISB. It's been built by Cyril and Dedra, where it's been promoted by them. It is a total setup.
It's crazy because I don't think Cyril builds it, because I'm not like, I don't want to be an apologist for bad people, but I just don't know. Like, again, this show makes me just, it just furthers this belief that there's good and evil, and then there's good and evil through a subjective lens. And I think that maybe Cyril is really looking, I think he's a victim of, or he's in that subjective field. Maybe Dedra's more objective, right? She does some really messed up stuff, but Cyril, I feel like he's in that subjective piece, you know? And it's funny because you can see, like, as he builds up that network on Gorman, that he has genuine care for some of them. It's a weird one, man. It's a weird one. It's not trippy, but, you know, it is what it is. And maybe that's the moral of the story. It is what it is. He's bad for people that he works for. But I think the energy that he had could easily have been turned the other way around.
67 Delta, 67, pick up.
The carrier's down. Repeat, the carrier is down. We're in play.
I also think he craves to be a part of something larger than himself, and he wants to be a significant piece, a significant cog in that machine of purpose. And that's part of his whole character arc, is Cyril's arc is becoming a cog in the machine of purpose, right? He wants to feel purpose in his life. And I think many people feel that way now on planet Earth. People want to feel purpose in their life, and they want to be a part of something larger than themselves. They want to look back in their life and be like, this is my legacy. This is what I did with my life. You see it there. He's like obsessed with the idea of legacy and doing something bigger than himself and contributing to a true cause. And there's nobility in that. You know, it's just, what side are you on? Are you on the right side of history or the wrong side of history?
Cyril
it was the wrong side.
and Dedra were unlike any other villains that you would normally see in a piece like this. They're incredibly flawed and have these little tics. They're both extremely conflicted, extremely questioning of themselves and of other people, extremely demanding. So they make a perfect couple, which is crazy because they don't. And the fact that Tony would decide to actually bring these two
really
people
funny.
together and see, like, well, what does your domestic life look like?
Dedra doesn't have the equipment to have a relationship and understand what it really means. She's not equipped with it.
How long can I stay?
An hour.
Are you kidding?
And Cyril is over needy to become part of things. He's so desperate to find a place of utility.
Excellent work.
We just talked about that, finding purpose in life, and he really is obsessed with that.
Cyril, this is the...
And look, there's the, you know, it's the carrot. They're hanging a carrot in front of you with a stick, and you're perpetually chasing it, and one little pat on the back gets you all happy, for lack of a different word.
Greatest day of my life.
I did a lot of
She's like,
research on
Jesus
female
Christ,
psychopathy.
bro.
Apparently, women who are psychopaths are less likely to murder because they usually enlist other people to do it for them. And so that made total sense to me, because she gets Cyril to do things.
He's an Imperial spy, be careful.
It's not funny.
For Cyril, truth, justice, integrity are paramount. And the fact that the news that he would be delivering to Dedra and to Partagaz is then getting twisted up to be something else, it would be to cut too deep.
You just hope that your cause is the right one, right? I mean, to
There you
Dedra,
go.
she's a hero. I think all of them.
Again, subjective, objective, evil and good are sometimes subjective. I guess through the lens of people, right? I mean, the winners of war write history. It's the same thing. Very, very deep themes. I'm going to get some backlash for this one, but I think one of the worst parts of Andor is not the show or the acting or the pacing, but the diehard fans of Andor are very hard to deal with, and they're very hard to speak to. To them, this show is infallible, and everything they say is 100% correct, and they can't really entertain an opinion on this. And I think a lot of them, they yell and scream about this fascism narrative. And I think so much of this show is not necessarily rooted in fascism. It's rooted in the concept of good and evil and how subjective it can be. There's good and evil on both sides of this conflict. Dedra kills, Cyril kills, Luthen kills, Cassian kills, Bix kills, Lonnie kills. Like, all these people, they're killers at the end of the day, and they've killed someone. And they've done it in the name of good. Both of them have done it in the name of rebellion, peace, justice, and order for a better cause. And I think that's a narrative that a lot of the diehard Andor fans can't really see. It's fascism, it's fascism. There's fascism in play, yes, with the Empire, but the rebellion turns into the Republic, who also turns into a government that oppresses people. So it's just a subjective battle of good and evil, right? And I think this show highlights that so well. So, I mean, that's, I guess, a controversial take in a way. You know, sometimes it's difficult to talk to people who love the project so much. I mean, good for them, but again, a lot of this stuff is very subjective, and I think it's a messaging of a lot of this show. And you see it with these characters. All of them are like somewhere in the middle, but they're fighting for good.
I think they're the hero, right? Everyone in this story is the hero of their story.
There you go.
We have the death scene, which it's wonderful writing because it's not some big shootout. It's such a stupid mistake by a silly, silly boy.
It is a waste. It's so unfair.
I kind of didn't care for this just because I personally wasn't invested in these characters, and I thought she played this. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. She played a significant role. I guess so did the other girl, but you know, I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more of Luthen. Maybe Dedra finding those files of the Death Star. So that would have been more intrigued to see that.
It was meant to be a very, very straightforward mission. And it's almost a given. After this mission, we are going to reconnect.
What's important to realize is there's a maturity in Val now. Before, I think she would have just shot back. Now she knows that the biggest revenge for her is actually that this person will forever be haunted by this. This is on you now. I think what it shows is the fragility of life.
It's something minor that can sometimes go wrong, go completely wrong. And when somebody passes away, how often are we lucky enough to get closure? That's not how life works sometimes. You don't get to say goodbye.
When I read that scene, I was like, yes, finally.
Get in the chair.
She gets her revenge. It will only feel like forever.
A character of good moral standing getting revenge. Just saying, it's not all black and white.
And that moment is about her.
Great scene.
She has to confront her demons.
Towards the end, I put on the iconic Cassian jacket. Then I'm back to my boots that I always wear. She feels a little bit more badass.
Just killed someone, bro. I'm telling you. It's subjective.
You feel Bix standing back up at her feet.
It shows that they're not just a couple, they are a team. They're capable of big stuff when they work together. I think it's a moment where you understand that this is a love story. People understanding each other, helping each other. That's why, yeah, I think this season is about love and what love means in the middle of a revolution.
Whatever the mission is, I'm coming.
Think about a planet like Gorman in rebellion.
They'll be crushed. All of the current events, all these false flags, and all these lies.
Are we finding criminals or making them?
It's all been leading to, if we need to take this planet apart to build the Death Star, if we need what's in the ground and we can't find a substitute,
Gorman cannot take the risk.
there will become a drop-dead date at which we have to ruin this place. And that date has come in Block 3.
If it goes up in flames,
burn brightly.
It will burn very brightly.
That was fun. I love watching these behind the scenes for Star Wars content, for good Star Wars content. You know, I think like the worst, on a side note, the worst part about the Andor series and The Mandalorian, all these shows, it all leads to The Force Awakens and the mega super billion times meme ass Starkiller base. So I think, yo, no joke, man, I think they just got to get rid of that stuff from canon, because all these shows would be so much better if it didn't lead to that heap of trash. I think Starkiller base is the dumbest thing they could have done. And I like The Force Awakens, don't get me wrong, but man, nonsensical. All right, guys, well, that being said, I hope you like these behind the scenes. I love watching behind the scenes with you guys. I love reacting to it. I love behind the scenes. I love seeing the story of how these things are made. You know, I have a true passion for this franchise, and I have a true passion for interacting with you guys. And, you know, I hope you enjoy interacting with me. More content is going to be coming out again. I'm sort of getting back into the swing of things at YouTube. It's a little tough. I've been working a lot more now because I'm saving for a home, as some of you might know. So, you know, with that being said, stick around the channel. I'll drop some more shorts. I'll do some more react videos. I have some lore stuff coming on the way too. And let me know if you want to see more behind the scenes stuff with Andor. And let me know your thoughts on Andor and if you liked it or not. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. And until next time, may the Force be with you always. See you later, guys.